Well, we take a look at some of the snow and wind that northern Minnesota saw, the cold temperatures that are still with us through Thursday, but a big warm-up spring weather finally is on its way. So we have our storm system still affecting the northern parts of the state, the upper level low right on the Red River Valley, with some pretty strong winds still today on the backside of the surface low, which is over northeastern Minnesota. And still a lot of clouds, some fog out there, but most of the moisture reserved for northern Minnesota. So about 2 to 5 inches for northeastern Minnesota, not a ton of snow there, but as expected, northwestern Minnesota really bearing the brunt here as far as snowfall is concerned, over a foot in some spots. War Road, about 11.3 inches, Roseau a foot there, 10 inches around Grand Forks. And then, of course, with all the wind in those open areas of northwestern Minnesota, blizzard conditions closing some of the roadways, and especially into North Dakota, too. Some severe weather to the south, too, but it was a lot of hail for the most part across Missouri, Iowa, northern Illinois. There were a few tornado reports, including some tornado touchdowns just outside of Des Moines and in parts of Missouri and Illinois, but not as big of an outbreak, luckily, as what we saw last Friday night. So folks in the same areas that were hit last Friday spared, but winds not from thunderstorms, but from this storm system across Lake Superior, Duluth last night, 70-mile-an-hour wind gust at 11 p.m. Blew out some windows, and all up and down the North Shore, some 60-mile-an-hour gusts. It's going to be windy there again today, not as bad, though. This time out of the northwest. So the low center, kind of like the eye of the hurricane, was over us early this morning. Now on the backside, the winds pick back up. So gusty still today out of the northwest, though, instead of the northeast, at still 35 to 45 miles an hour for us, but near Lake Superior, you get in those open areas, could still see some 50-mile-an-hour gusts, but again, not as strong as what was experienced overnight last night. And still a little bit of an icy coating for some patchy areas in northeastern Minnesota. There was some freezing rain last night. Most of that's turned over to snow, but still a little bit of patchy freezing drizzle at least, and some additional snowfall, mostly for far northern Minnesota along the international border. Could see a couple more inches in International Falls and up around Roseau and War Road, where totals there for this storm will probably come in well over a foot, but lighter amounts as you go south, and really nothing here in southern Minnesota. It is going to be cold, though, still tomorrow. Upper 30s tomorrow. Even today, only low 30s and normal highs in the low 50s. And look at the Red River Valley, just 20s for highs tomorrow. So below normal temperatures here in the whole central part of the continent today still. But we're going to see a rapid turnaround. The warmest temperatures compared to normal and period than we've seen in some time here. This weekend into next week, spring has sprung. The whole central part of the continent completely flips things around to well above normal temperatures instead of well below. So highs by Saturday, low 60s, our first 60 of the season probably. If we don't do it Saturday, we will probably Sunday, and certainly by Monday, because temperatures are going to warm up even more next week. We're talking low 70s, maybe right around 70 on Monday, Tuesday, and potentially Wednesday. Some models get as close to 80, not as crazy as that 87 that your iPhone was forecasting, though, earlier in the week. But tomorrow, still pretty chilly. The sun is back, at least for Thursday and Friday. And that's the other thing. We're in for a mainly dry pattern with more sunshine, too. So that is some good news, because we're going to rapidly melt snow in central and northern Minnesota, which is going to flood the rivers already. So we don't need any additional precip. Looks like a few showers Saturday, but otherwise, for the time being, dry and with a fair amount of sun.